which he has not done to date. That's the complaint. Evidence is before you that there is a pending complaint by His Excellency, the Deputy President, before the Judicial Service Commission. So the mover of this motion first has perjured himself in his affidavit by saying that each of these facts are correct, when this fact is false by evidence available. You will find that paragraph 34 of the motion before you, it says that His Excellency falsely threatened to file a petition for removal of Justice Esther Maina. How can the Deputy President be accused of falsely threatening when in fact he has filed the complaint? Where is the falsehood when there is a pending complaint? That complaint is before you in the Deputy President's documents for your own perusal. I began by saying they'll move from the false through the ridiculous to the embarrassing. At paragraph 78C, you'll be told that His Excellency routinely summons procurement officers in ministries and state institutions and instructs them to direct procurement of goods and services in a specific manner. No officer from any ministry will swear an affidavit claiming to have been summoned to award any procurement for any goods or any services in a particular manner. In fact, what you'll have before you is actually very ridiculous. You will be told that there was a tender for supply of mosquito nets that was cancelled in May 2023. Then a local company that was an agent of the supplier was following for the return of its bid bond in July, 2 months after the cancellation of the tender. How can you influence a tender that was cancelled 2 months ago? I told you it will move from the false through the ridiculous to the embarrassing. Now, the more interesting one is at paragraph 78A. You'll be told that His Excellency bullied Kenya Medical Supplies Agency officials into awarding a tender for the supply of mosquito nets to Crystal Limited. Good people, Crystal Limited was not even a bidder for that tender. He pressurized people to award it to somebody who is not even a bidder for that tender. I observed it will move from the false through the ridiculous to the embarrassing. Those of us who understand this motion for what it is, understand why these panel beating maneuvers are being tried here. The motion as presented and approved by the National Assembly will remain in our constitutional history as the most embarrassing motion ever approved by a House of Parliament in the Commonwealth. We respectfully submit. You'll be told at paragraph 58 that His Excellency is reasonably suspected to be the principal beneficiary of what are called dubious transactions by Lusona Events Limited. You will then go to the allegations on Lusona Events Limited, and you want to see those transactions, how are they terminating to the Deputy President? You'll not come across any connection. They'll just say, a director of this company withdrew some money from his own company, the Deputy President is a director, none of his family members are director. That person withdrew money from his company, bought a motor vehicle in his own name. The mover will say, I'm therefore drawing a reasonable conclusion that the Deputy President is the beneficiary of this. Good people, the word reasonable has meaning known to law. I submit very respectfully that this falls short of the definition of the word reasonable suspicion. I submit it actually gravitates towards unreasonable suspicion. Now let's look at this. You'll be told that His Excellency has acquired 40 acres of land in Kakuret, Kambraini in Nyeri. Evidence before you will show that this is land that the Deputy President in fact bought from a current member of the National Assembly. So he knows that member. In 2015, before he even joined state office as a member of parliament. You are told that the purchase of this land in 2015 shows that in the last 2 years, the deputy president has amassed immense wealth. I began by saying, let's be elementarily decent. One of the most frustrating things about preparing for such a hopelessly conceptualized, hopelessly crafted, and hopelessly presented case is that you begin doubting yourself because you begin wondering, what am I not seeing? Land bought from a sitting member of the National Assembly in the year 2015 is supposed to be evidence that in the last 2 years, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has amassed immense wealth from the office of the president to acquire that property. Now, let's look at paragraph 45G. You'll be told that His Excellency has acquired 80 acres of land in Meru County. No land registration number is provided. Not even an affidavit of a neighbor who says, I know yes, this land is my neighbor. Just an allegation by the mover of this motion like that. And the Swahili say, ukistaajabu ya Musa utaona Firauni. This mover of this motion stood before the National Assembly and said, just believe me for this statement as it is. The first joke. The second joke, the National Assembly actually believed him and approved the motion. You'll be told that paragraph 45H, that His Excellency has acquired a dairy farm in Nyandarua County. Now, I guess we all have a common understanding of what a dairy farm is. His Excellency has no dairy farm in Nyandarua County. The move of this motion does not give us any evidence of this dairy farm in Nyandarua County. You'll be told that His Excellency has used the office of the Deputy President to corruptly influence unnecessary and expensive renovation of his official residence in Karen and Mombasa. What will shock you is this, good people. The contract for the renovation of the official residence of the Deputy President was signed by the controller of State House. Unless the move of this motion wants to make a claim that the Deputy President conspired with the State House to have this contract executed. Number two, it will be known to all of us as members of Parliament that the money for renovation of this official residence was approved by the National Assembly. Is the National Assembly conceding that it approved money for unnecessary expenditure by government? How can the National Assembly approve money for use for renovation of the residence of the Deputy President, then after that money is used for the intended purpose, the renovation of the official residence of the President, now drag the Deputy President for impeachment for the reason of that renovation? I said it will move through the ridiculous to the embarrassing. You'll be told that the Deputy President has a helicopter landing facility at his land, Ruguru, Kiamariga, 1223 in Madeira. The Deputy President simply has no helicopter landing pad on that farm, a small parcel of land with the Nappier grass, unless the mover of this motion can now convince us that new technology has emerged, that Nappier grass is the constructing material for landing pads for aircrafts. That's the only way it can make sense. But because it doesn't make sense, good people, you'll agree with me, it moves from the false through the ridiculous to the embarrassing. Now let's deal with it. You'll be told the Deputy President has amassed a wealth portfolio amounting to 5.2 billion shillings. Elementarily, we must then look at the particularization. Tell us which one is what plus which one is what plus which one is what to amount to this 5.2 billion. This figure, the origin, is only known to the mover of this motion. There is nothing on the body of the motion. There is nothing in the documents attached to the motion. There is nothing in the video clips to be played by the mover of this motion that tells us mathematically how he arrived at this figure of 5.2 billion shillings. Then when the charges were read, distinguished senators, you had some 22 companies being read one by one. Thank you. 22 companies. A number of things will surprise you. You'll just find a company listed called Spiritway Limited. Nothing in this motion tells us what wrong has this company done. Nothing in the motion, completely. It just listed there the way it is. Fortis Vis Group Limited. Nothing in this motion tells us what wrong has Fortis Vis Group Limited done. They're just companies whose names have been listed, and we have spent the taxpayers' money this afternoon listening to these companies' names being written with nothing in this motion telling us. So what wrong has Dorcas Rigathi Foundation done? What act are you complaining of for that company? What omission are you complaining of in respect of that company? Heartland Supplies Limited, you just find a name of a company there. No wrongdoing is alluded to it. No allegation is made against it. They're just companies thrown there. Distinguished senators, the Romans called their assembly, which was the equivalent of this Senate, the patres. It was an advisory council. That name was derived from an old Latin word meaning father. Senate derives its name from the Latin word senex, meaning old man. All these words are supposed to address the sagacious, the state of wisdom of the Senate. If this Senate lives true to its historical origin as the patres, if this Senate lives true to its Latin origins as the senex, the old man, the wise man, it will see through these lies, it will see through this ridiculousness, it will see through these embarrassing statements. If time were to permit, I will take you through other allegations that meet the same test of falsehood, ridiculousness, and embarrassment. Fortunately for us, the rules of procedure permit us to cross-examine the move of this motion and the respective witnesses as a way of bringing forth these lies much more clearly. We shall do that when the time presents itself. At the end of it all, we shall beseech you to do two things: to be true to your oath of office as senators, to be true to your oath of office as senators, to pour through this evidence, to listen keenly to this evidence, to make a decision premised on the evidence as tested here in cross-examination. And if you do that, we have no doubt in our mind, you will reach the same conclusion that what has been presented before you as a most consequential motion, perhaps in our lifetime, is false, is ridiculous, is embarrassing. I rest the governor's opening statement.
That is the Deputy President Council. He's not the governor.
My apologies, Mr. Speaker. I have been here multiple times on governance, and I think that is what was reigning in my mind. I rest the Deputy President's opening statement. My apologies for that.
Very well. Now, honorable senators will now move to hear the case of the National Assembly. Now, the National Assembly has 3 hours to present its case, meaning all the witnesses